Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Live right now. Lesbian Detectives. Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready to go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the Lesbian Detectives.
This is Lesbian Detectives. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Elizabeth.
And we are here talking about missing and unsolved murders.
We are discussing cases that you have forgotten about or never even heard of.
So sit back, relax, and let's start this podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for coming to this week's episode. I know you guys probably saw my post. My father did pass away this Saturday, and it's been hard, but I'm getting through it day by day by day. And it's crazy how this case came to be, and my father just passed away, and I really connected with the mother of this victim. That being said, this case is a case suggestion. And the mother is really working hard for her child to get the justice that he needs. Because it seems like the police really messed up this case. And you guys are going to see why. Because I had to call on my cousin that's a sheriff and say, hey, do they normally do this? And she's like, no, they don't. So I'm like, oh. There's a certain kind of scream that only a mother can make. When she screams, every mother feels it. Every mother stops, listens, and cries with her. It's a scream that carries fear, heartbreak, and a deep crushing despair you can feel in your chest, even if it's not your own child. When a mother feels that kind of pain, every mother feels it. When a mother cries for her child, something inside of us all aches. And when a mother fights for justice, we should all be fighting with her, because every parent knows that fear. That knock at the door, that phone call in the middle of the night. It was 9:30 p.m. when voices began rising outside a front door. Inside the house, a teenage sister could hear the argument building, sharp tone, tension thick in the air. She tried to make sense of it, but before she could fully understand what was happening, everything spiraled. Then the phone call. On the other end was her daughter, screaming. Her voice was scared as she cried and begged, saying he had been hurt. She didn't know what to do. She was scared. Through broken panic words, she tried to explain the shouting, the struggle, the chaos unfolding just outside the door. The details came fast, in fragments, almost impossible to understand. And then there was a pause. A silence that felt unnatural, a sound that will linger in memories forever. He was at home, not somewhere dangerous, not wandering the night, home at his front door. That night, his mother was working. She doesn't usually work evens, but she did that day. Both parents were putting in overtime, trying to provide, trying to build something for their family. While they were working, their child was bleeding in the street. 2 days later, doctors would say words no parent is ever prepared to hear. And somewhere, someone knows exactly what happened at that front door. This is the beginning of a fight no mother ever asked for. This is the case of Josiah Brisco. Josiah Brisco was born on November 11, 2001 in Chicago, Illinois. From the start, he had a spark that drew people to him. He was smart, charming, and full of life. He had long eyelashes, beautiful hair, and a smile that could light up a room. People called him Pretty Boy, but he was so much more than his looks. He was thoughtful, caring, and fiercely loyal to the people he loved. He was a lefty, a good student, gifted in his studies, and responsible for someone who had already experienced so much chaos in his young life. He loved cooking, a skill he learned from both his parents, Don Jackson and Kenneth Brisco, and often asked for his favorite dishes, sweet potato pie and mac and cheese, anything that reminds him of home. He had a playful side and he could make friends easily. Life had not been easy for Josiah. He moved between Chicago and Phoenix several times as a child. He lived with his father for a time, Kenneth, and while he tried to earn his father's love, there were many moments of absence, and he never got the support from his father. Those absences left holes, and like many young men searching for a place to fit in, Josiah looked for it in the streets. He'd been involved in gangs in Chicago, and at one point he sold drugs, a choice that would bring danger but also survival. Yet, even in those moments, there was a part of him trying to break free, trying to find a better path. When he moved to Phoenix for a fresh start, living with his mother, Dawn Jackson, he was determined to rebuild himself. He was in therapy, trying to understand his pain, trying to get better. Josiah loved his younger sister fiercely. Their bond was so close that people often thought they were twins. He was protective, kind, and deeply loyal. He had dreams, big dreams. For someone who's seen so much trouble, he wanted to attend HVAC trade school, worked at FedEx, and carved out a life that was his own. He had just graduated high school during the pandemic, and for the first time, there was hope that he could finally leave the past behind. But life has a way of testing even the strongest young men. And for Josiah, the streets, the people he once called friends, and the choices of his past would collide when the life he was trying to build. This is a story of a young man full of life, potential, and dreams, whose story would take a tragic turn. It was 9:30 p.m. on June 25th, 2020. Josiah was at home at his front door. Inside, his 16-year-old sister was in her room when she heard the voices outside. Raised, urgent. She tried to make sense of what was happening, but the tension escalated too quickly. Then came the shots. 2 of them. One into the arm, one into the head. Panicked, she grabbed the phone and called her mother. Her voice was shaking, urgent, full of fear. "He's hurt. Something's wrong," she cried, trying to explain the chaos outside. Words tumbled out fast, broken, almost impossible to follow, and then a silence. A pause that felt impossible. A sound that would haunt her and everyone who would hear the story forever. Dawn, who usually worked morning shift and never night. Her husband, Lance Kennedy, was also working overtime. Both parents were trying to provide, trying to build a better life. But that night, their child was bleeding in the street. Lance called the neighbor across the street, desperate for answer. That neighbor would later witness the police dragging Josiah's body away. The fight, Dunn would later learn, had been over a girl. A moment of teenage passion and rage that escalated into someone losing their life. But even the knowing the reason could not lessen the pain, heartbreak, or the fight that would follow. Josiah was rushed to the hospital, but nothing could undo the damage. 2 days later, on June 27, 2020, he was pronounced brain dead. The person responsible? Known to Josiah.
Don Jackson was left with a mother's worst nightmare, a young life full of potential stolen in an instant, and a system that seemed to move slower than her grief. Detectives changed multiple times, forcing her to return to the police station again and again for answers. The original detective, Ryan Miller, had left the case before connecting with her. The current detective, Matthew Hamas, is now a sign, but justice has been painfully slow. That night, everything changed. A young man with dreams, laughter, and plans was gone. His family's lives were shattered, and for Don Jackson, the fight for justice had only just begun. And the system didn't make it easier. Case reports confirmed what she had already suspected. The shooting wasn't random. Josiah knew the person responsible. And yet, months and years would pass without the person being located. Josiah's life before the shooting made the situation even more complex. He had struggled, he had made mistakes, but he had been trying to turn his life around. He had been in Phoenix for 9 months, away from the streets of Chicago, working to build a future. He had graduated high school, was preparing for trade school, and had lined up a job at FedEx. Dawn knew all of this. She knew how far he had come, how hard he had fought to rise above his past, and she knew he deserved better. But the fight didn't stop grief. It became a battle for justice, a fight to make sure his story mattered, to make sure his death didn't disappear into statistics. Dawn Jackson became relentless. Every call she made, every visit to the police station, every conversation with a detective was about one thing: finding the person who took her son and holding them accountable. Through it all, Dawn Jackson has made one thing clear: she will not stop fighting for Josiah. Even years later, the question remained: who shot Josiah Brisco? Why? How could someone he knew, someone who had shared part of his life, turn a moment of anger into a permanent tragedy? Dawn Jackson knows the answers. At least, she knows who did it. But the person remains out of reach, hidden, elusive, leaving justice incomplete. Josiah had survived dangers before. He had been shot at months earlier at a gas station, a reminder that his past, his mistakes, his associations could follow him. He had been in gangs in Chicago, a life he had left behind when he moved to Phoenix. He was trying to build a better path, a future he could call his own. And yet, the very streets he had escaped found him again. The police reports tell part of the story. They confirm what Dawn feared. This was not random, not an accident. It was someone he knew, someone close enough to him to turn a dispute over a girl into a life-ending moment. And yet, every lead has slowed. Every trail has gone cold. Every hope of quick justice has been tested. Dawn Jackson has faced the obstacles head on. She has fought to keep her son's story alive, to ensure that investigators don't forget him, and to demand accountability from a system that often moves too slow. She has visited the police department countless times, spoken to detectives, requested updates, and refused to let Josiah's life fade into silence. And in her fight, she has become the voice for her son and for every young person whose life has been stolen too soon. Josiah Brisco was more than the tragedy that ended his life. He was laughter, charm, intelligence, and love. He was a brother, a son, a friend. He was a young man working to rise above a past that had tested him again and again. And his story is a reminder of what is lost when a life is cut short, and what is at stake when justice is delayed. The person responsible remains at large. The questions linger. The pain endures. And through it all, one mother refuses to give up. Josiah Briscoe's life was brief, but it was full. He was a young man of dreams, laughter, and ambition. He loved cooking, adored his sisters, and had a spark that made people notice him wherever he went. He had plans, big plans, for a future he was building with care and hope. And yet all of that was stolen in an instant. Dawn Jackson now carries a grief no mother should ever have to bear. She carries it into every interaction with the police. Every phone call, every unanswered question, she carries it every day, knowing the person who ended her son's life is still free. But she also carries determination, fierce, unyielding, relentless determination. She has become a voice not just for Josiah, but for every mother, every family, every young person whose life has been torn away by violence. Because when a mother fights for her child, she fights for all of us. Every mother listening can feel her pain. Every parent can imagine the terror, the heartbreak, and the need for justice that never fades. The system has slowed, detectives have changed, leads have gone cold, but Dawn Jackson continues to demand answers. She continues to demand justice. Josiah's story is not just about tragedy, it is about love, it is about hope, it is about the fight that refuses to end, even when the odds seem impossible. No mother should ever have to bury her child, and no family should have to wait in silence for the person responsible to face the consequences. Before we end this case, Dawn Jackson would like to say a few words.
Hello, I am Dawn Olivia for some, but Dawn Jackson by birthright. I am the mom of Josiah Brisco. Again, my son's name is Josiah Brisco. He was a man, articulate thinker, and just wanted love, you know? Josiah was a pretty boy. He stayed in the mirror and he always strived to be better, you know? What I loved about my son was he was caring, he was thoughtful. He looked out for his sisters and he looked out for me, his mama. My son, wow, he had a short but long-lived life. I believed he fulfilled his purpose on earth, yet I believe he still had more to do. I remember every time I would cook his favorites, mac and cheese and sweet potatoes, and yes, he ate it together. He would taste it and he would either tell me, Mama, yeah, give me that thumbs up, or he'd be like, we got to add this. So you got to go back to the drawing board, Ma. Sometimes he would get in that kitchen too. Oh my gosh. And he loved his sweet potato pies. So Josiah was just very intelligent. He was tested in school. He was listed as gifted. He really had a bright future ahead of him. Despite his hiccups in life, my son was on his path that God ordained him to be on. After he passed, I had a few guys that came to visit me, and these guys I actually never met. And they were just crying so hard. I mean, they were really heartbroken. And they just shared with me how Josiah helped them get out of the gang life. Some went to school, some went to trade school, and some just worked. And they were just focused. That is a proud mama moment. So losing Josiah has changed my life forever. But today I want to make sure his life is remembered bigger than the tragedy. He mattered. He was loved deeply. He was my son. And that will always be my greatest honor. I call him King Josiah. His name deserves to be spoken with love. His name deserves to be spoken every day. So know that Josiah walked this earth. Know that Josiah Brisco was amazing. And know that this mama, Joe, I miss you and I love you. And thank you for being my son. Thank you for being your sister's brother, even though sometimes you thought you was the big brother to all of them. Just know that Josiah Brisco name, his life, his memory will always live.
You or me?
Go ahead.
This case right here is kind of hard. My mom's birthday is June the 26th. So it's crazy that her son was was shot on June the 25th. And then there's my mom's birthday, and then he passed away June the 27th. It's like when she was telling me the dates, I was like, wow, like you never know what somebody's going through. Like you living your life, but a loved one is burying a child or a family member. You never know the person pain. And she told me about she knows it's somebody that Josiah trusts. Because one thing she said she always teach her kids is do not give your address out. Nobody should know where you stay. Only close friends or family. And she said Josiah, it clicked for him. He never gave his information out. And knowing that he was in a gang, I know people and family members that are in the gang. You don't give out that information. You do not tell anybody where you stay or anything about you because it will go for your family.
Right.
So for that person to come to his house and unalive him, that person knew him. And over a girl. And she said she kind of know who the girl is because the police went to a girl and she was like why they like coming for me? Like they was kind of hush, like trying to shut her down a little bit, the girl. So it's like, I wonder who this person was to Josiah. Like
Right.
if this was like a best friend, because that person had to be in the same friend group that Josiah in, because he knew where he stayed and it was a fight over a girl. So like somebody in his inner circle. So I always feel like it's somebody that he knows, like a close friend. And I want to like, please, if you really can do your job, go through the phone records, see who was talking to him, and see like what girl he was talking to. See like, okay, like see who that girl was talking to. Like it's so many pieces that the police can figure out who shot him, but they're not doing it. Like you could go through his phone records, seeing what kind of girl he talked to, see his friends list, see who he always talked to, compare the list, go talk to them, do something. But they're not. She told me that she didn't even know the detective switch. They didn't even tell her. She don't even know where the detective's at. Like the first detective, he went missing. Like he was off the case. They never called her. They never let her know. She went up there and raised hell to get information. They're like, oh, he's not here no more. And she's like, where's his man? They're like, oh, we don't know. So like, what the crap?
Yeah, that's sketchy for sure. And then I know too, the person that she thinks did it is also like in hiding or something. So it's like she's telling them, hey, it's this person, or trying to provide information, and they just don't really look into it or haven't found anything that would give Dawn the justice that she's seeking.
Because she said it was a young boy that was friends with her son, right? After he passed away, he came around a lot of times, like always there, and then I know he just stopped coming. So she was like, okay, that's kind of sketchy a little bit. Like she said she's been, on the ground doing the police work. And that's a mother. Like when she was telling me how she's fighting for her son, and that's why the beginning of the case is like that, guys, because as she's telling me, I'm a mother and I felt her pain. I felt the hurt that somebody unalived my son, and I'm over here fighting for justice for my son, and the police don't give a damn about my kid. And I know it. They know it. And it's like, what the world we live in now, internet is very important. Like so many people have went missing, and people are like saying, hey, this person went missing. Like they're getting their name out there like, hey, spread the news, spread the news. So we are able to solve cases with our internet power to get Josiah's name out there. To tell them like, hey, the police can do the bare minimal to solve this case. Because I feel like, as I say in every episode, every case is solvable. But this one is just going through the steps, talking to the right people. Because if you figure out what girl he was fighting over, okay, let's figure out the girl. We got the girl. Who Josiah was fighting with, okay, figure that out. Let's see if his phone pinged close to where Josiah is, we're staying at. Ping. And then the messed up thing is, When Josiah was on his porch bleeding out, the police dragged his body in the road. And I called my cousin. I was like, hey, is this normal? She's like, no, you never do that. You secure the scene, and if the scene is clear, you wait until the ambulance come and, do their business.
You never move the body.
You never move the body, and they did. So, already messed up.
That's tampering with evidence.
I mean, they just messed up this case. And it's just, if the police really care about solving the case, and this will make me mad about police and detectives, you go into this field knowing that you have to solve cases, that you have to work your butt off to give the victim family the answers and the justice they need, but you don't do it. You don't care. You don't care about doing your job. Why are police still and detectives still there if they're not doing their job? Because I know if I don't do my job, my boss fired me. So why are detectives still there? Like, if you see like this detective only solving rich, powerful cases, or don't really care about like the black man, the black woman, the Asian, like the minority, and you see that they're not solving this case or not caring about solving this case, why is he still on the force? Why is he still getting a paycheck? Why are you not, as a chief, talking to this man like, hey, solve these cases? Because that's what it seemed like. This man got off the case. She didn't know where he went. Another man, another person, another. How many detectives is this mom going to go through until somebody say, hey, Dawn, I care about your son. I'm going to solve his murder. I'm going to take upon myself to do the efforts that these other detectives didn't care to do. When is that detective going to step up and help her? Because this case is solvable. Just do the steps.
Yeah.
Because somebody knows something. She said she been in the streets. She been like talking to so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. She's getting information about her son's case. And she sent me the case record. Oh my God. Lord have mercy. It was so blacked out. I was like, I can't read nothing. Every freaking 2 words, black, black, black. I'm like, why would y'all send her this type of case record? Sorry, guys. Got a little fed up. But we do believe that it's somebody that Josiah knew. And that's the craziest thing about it, because your closest friends can be your worst enemy.
Yep.
And that's the quote I'm going to end this case with today. If you guys know anything about what happened to Josiah, please tell Dawn. I'm like, forget the police. Go tell Dawn, because she's going to solve this case. And a lot of moms have been solving their kids' case. And guys, let's get this case out here. Let's get her son case out there. Let's make the police do their job. We are on all podcast platform, YouTube, and we are on all social media. So please come check us out on our social medias, and I will post all the information about Josiah case on my social media. I will even post Dawn information. If you know something, like if you're not comfortable coming to me, you can go to Dawn. I will happily give you her information, because she wants her son case solved, and she's fighting for justice, and we all should be behind her and fighting. And guys, you see my rubber blanket? I know it's cute, ain't it? But this is Lesbian Detectives. Don't forget, everybody's suspect,
So proven innocent.
Bye. See you next week.
Lesbian Detectives. Unsolved cases. She's still missing. Yeah, they haven't found her yet. Well, let's talk about it.
They say he vanished without a trace. Could it be a psychotic break or a tragic accident? Police don't know where the body went. Unsolved murders, body still missing. That's unheard. Where's the witness? Lesbian detectives, what's going on? City on high alert, this out the norm. He did what, the who? Man, that ain't real, these crimes ain't true. Then come uncover these theories with us. We live right now, tuning in is a must.
Right now, Lesbian Detectives. Lesbian Detectives. We about to start the show, so get your popcorn ready, let's go. Pay attention to the message I present to you, the Lesbian Detectives.